Happy Friday to you, everyone. Today I am going to wrap up my little mini-series on pups and pregnancy about talking about infants that are crawling at about 9 months of age and toddlers. But before I do that, let me just kind of go over here to my little TV set real quick. I want to show you a few things. A few behaviors I'm going to tell you to safeguard against when you have a young child with a dog. Now again, some of these children are a little bit older than what we're talking about related to pups and pregnancy, but still very good to know. Look at this pup's expression here. The pup is looking away, ears are back. This is really a young dog who really doesn't even know fear yet. It's hard for them to know it. They're really young. Again, I tell people all the time, watch a 3-year-old. They'll run right out to a highway, but a lot of 30-year-olds don't. But nevertheless, you're born knowing that some things can hurt you. And even though we look at this and we think, oh, this is great, we have a little puppy, this little chokehold that the child has on the dog's neck, really, from a biologically prepared learning perspective, this telegraphs intra-group control. And so now the pup is probably wondering, why are you exerting intra-group control on me? Nothing wrong with it, as long as the pup understands why it's occurring. And this is a little confusion right here. Another thing that, sorry, make my set a little smaller, there we go. It's a little finicky today. Why doesn't it not want to cooperate with me? Of course it doesn't, because it's live. That's why, Brian. Okay, so anyway, we do have another picture, I promise you. There we go, thank goodness. Be patient. Okay, this is really scary. This is really scary. This is a very large, intact male pit bull right here in this baby's face. Greeting this dog that tight. Again, remember, if I feel threatened at all, or if there's some sort of resource I want to defend or acquire, I have 3 strategies. Hawk, attack immediately, display, or flee. Well, one of those strategies is gone right there because the dog's on a leash. And of course, you can tell here there are things in this basket, in this stroller, that they may have. Just be very careful of this, because this either succeeds greatly or it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's bad. All right, let me see if I can get my screen to go. There we go. I think I might get it now. Maybe not. Good Lord, help me here. Okay, guys, I promise I know how to work my screen. I don't understand what's happening here today, why it decides it doesn't want to go. Evan, you got any ideas?
Let's use just one finger.
There you go.
Cool.
There's a reason why Evan does what he does. I do. It's not that. Okay, another scary situation. Very scary indeed. Be careful about this. You may think that your child is playing with this dog, but again, you're laying on top of this dog. It's all about the dog's interpretation of the events, not yours, not your child's. If this dog perceives at any given moment it is being threatened, or at any given moment it's even done with the play, all sorts of bad things can happen from this. The child can be bitten, the child can be launched through the air, kind of like a bull in a rodeo, just simply launched through the air as the dog stands up quickly. Or if the doorbell rings, or if something happens that makes that animal jump up very fast. Very dangerous situation here. Again, another one of those initial success or total failure in this situation. Brian, we'll get the old one finger thing here, Evan. Thank you, sir. Very good. And again, another thing here is a cute picture, but we have to be careful around with children squeezing the necks of dogs. Again, when you're this close, if a bite occurs, there's no escaping it. There's no you preventing it as a parent. If this animal, for whatever reason, decides, I don't want to be squeezed like this, maybe I don't know you, I feel threatened by you, then they're going to make this child go away. They're going to get out of that situation. And the means in which they do so may not be one that you may use, as in, excuse me, really appreciate you hugging me there, that felt really good, but now I'm kind of done with it. Can you back off? No, they don't have language, they're not going to do that. This is going to be an immediate attack. An immediate attack. So watch behaviors like this, guys, because these things can lead to, you know, again, in all the years I've been interviewing people, parents, so many of them. They come to see Bryan when this thing goes south. That's when my phone rings. That's when I get the email chatter, is when a child has been attacked. Then they come to me looking for reasons why, because they're caught in total disbelief. They believe that the dog was the big sister of this child, the big brother. And why would it dare do that? Sometimes they get dogs to protect their children, and then they're really caught off guard when the dog does everything but protect the child. Protects its own interest, its own self, protects whatever it is that it has. I read about this in one of my books about a young girl who was attacked by a big Rottweiler named Rocky, because Rocky had her Barbie in his mouth. And the young girl, being 3 years of age, approached Rocky, and Rocky gave all the signals in the world saying, back off, my Barbie. But she didn't. She had recognized the signals, and Mom and Dad were in another room. And all they heard was the attack. And Rocky simply made her go away. Competitive aggression. And if you want to play that movie again, it can happen over and over and over again. We have to understand and accept the fact that dogs don't see us as children when we're young. They don't. If you're head level with me, then everything that nature has prepared them to deal with, meaning if you took your dog today and you dropped it off out in the wild, what does the dog have? What can it pull from the recesses of its brain, from its own instincts? What tools did nature give your dog to now survive by itself and then within a group? What did it give that animal to use? And again, not a human, a different animal, a subspecies of the wolf. Okay, another thing I want to point out over here just real quick is something this may amaze you, because it certainly amazes me, but definitely for you first-time parents, definitely pay attention to this. A 9-month-old baby, at 9 months of age, the average, now again, I guess some have a little bit more athleticism about them than others do, but your average baby can crawl at a speed of 1 foot per second. 1 foot per second. That's fast. Now there's all types of crawling. There's commando crawl, there's a bear crawl, and there's a thing called a boot scoot. I don't think they can do the old boot scoot in 1 foot per second, but I definitely think they can probably bear crawl and commando crawl at 1 foot per second. A 2-year-old child can now run, and they can cover a distance easily. Again, this is your average child of 4.5 feet per second. So now I want you to see something here. The distance from this yellow cone to the dog that is on the play stop standing right next to Jake, this distance is 20 feet. So again, a baby crawling would cover this distance in 20 seconds. Again, that's your average baby. Some will certainly cover it faster, others much slower. And then imagine a 2-year-old. Okay, so this is a little baby, but imagine a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old can now cover this distance in 4 seconds, 5 seconds maximum, all the way there. Now you think about, I'm going to step out of the room real quick. My dog is doing place. I've done outstanding training with my dog. There's no way my dog's going to break the place command. So I'm just going to hop out of the room real quick and go get another cup of coffee. Guys, how long will it take you to walk from that room into your kitchen and pour another cup of coffee? Long enough for either an infant to cover this distance, and certainly a 2-year-old. And let me tell you a little bit of something about that. It is natural, even if you know someone. By now, a lot of you know me now. But if I move quickly towards you, just suddenly approached you quickly, just came at you really fast, and the little neuronal nets in your brain would immediately become activated from the amygdala, saying, whoa, whoa, is Bryan okay? Has he lost it today? It may only last a couple of milliseconds, but nevertheless, it's there. Why is it there? Any living thing that approaches us quickly, and especially your dog who doesn't have the ability to go, oh, it's Bryan. Bryan would never harm me. Anything that moves quickly in your direction will immediately throw you into the fence. Immediately. Now, you may overcome it quickly as you're able to rationalize what is happening. But again, nevertheless, it throws them into the fence. And if they cover this distance and get all the way to the critical zone, again, what are my options? Attack, flee, display. That's all I have. And again, you're coming quickly. If a child moves laterally back and forth in front of your dog, it'll more than likely throw your dog, if it feels a little bit threatened, into a conflicted state. Kind of like you. You see someone, you don't know that someone, but that someone seems to be hostile, dangerous, a possible threat. Now they're walking back and forth on your yard. So how do you feel? They're not turning towards your house, so you feel a little relieved. Thank goodness they're not coming to my front door. But then on the other hand, they're not leaving. They're not leaving. Now you feel threatened. Now you're worried. So this will throw the animal into a state of conflict. And then anything that goes away, not a threat. Not a threat. Again, you might want to, anybody out there trying to protect their home, might want to look into the laws as to what you're allowed to do if the thing is coming this way versus going that way. I want to look into that. Because anything going that way is not really going to be deemed a threat to you by your peers, and an animal will immediately think, if you're going away from me, well then at this moment you're no longer a threat. So I need you to think about how fast a young child can cover a distance, and that's a good distance. Granted, some of you may live in palaces, but the average American probably doesn't live in a spatial house that would place the child at a distance much greater than probably 30 feet, I would say. So just do the math. And now give a little incentive, a little motivation behind the child, and off they go. They might be able to cover that distance a little bit faster. Again, why I always say, never leave a young child, and definitely not a baby, with a dog unsupervised. Unless you can guarantee the behavior of both the dog and the child. Another thing to think about, if you think this is fast, what do you think your dog can do? It's not even worth riding up here. I guarantee your average dog can cover that 20 feet in about 2 seconds. 2 seconds flat. Now think about this. Your young child, 1.5 years, 2 years old, moving about, mobile. Dog is here. Right there. Doorbell rings. Ding dong. And guess who's moving at an incredible rate of speed and runs over your dog like a freight train? Yeah, they don't tend to go around all the time. They have their eyes, they're fixated on a certain point on the horizon. And many times they don't even see the child. They're locked in on the trespasser, on the someone or something that is violating their space, coming towards their house. And they hit that door like a freight train. Other instances, this is the back door. The child happens to be playing outside. You open the door to let the dog out. And the same thing occurs just on an outside situation versus inside. The dog races out the door and runs right over your child, causing injuries. And again, there have been a few fatalities that I've researched in which the child died from blunt force trauma from both the impact of the dog and then also the subsequent smacking of their head on a hard surface. So you have to watch out for that as well. So at the end of the day, it's a little bit easier when your child gets a little bit older because you can talk to them. You can definitely have had time to make sure your dog's training is shored up by the time the baby arrives to the point in which it can crawl. Again, you have to look at the time. Everyone's different. Some babies will crawl much earlier than 9 months. Some will crawl later than that. You have to kind of motivate them to crawl. They don't want to go anywhere. Others are up and running around like no tomorrow, and they can cover this distance much faster. Usually buys you a little bit of time to kind of get things squared away, routines down, all the things I told you up to this point. So that makes it a little bit easier, it gives you a little bit more predictive information, and definitely more control over both situations. But that, to me, is where the danger lies. It's kind of like in the military, we used to say the most dangerous pilot was the 1,000-hour pilot. The one had 1,000 hours underneath their belt. Why? Because they truly flew by the seat of their pants. All of a sudden, checklists were skipped. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Really? Do you really know what you're doing? Because you skipped a vital step called lowering the landing gear. Things like that. It happens. We fall into complacency. The better we become at anything, we start to relax. And that's a good thing in many ways, but can also be very dangerous because you become lax. Oh, my dog's been good with my child. My dog's not going to hurt my child. Well, okay, you're right. Until it gets attacked by the child. Until the child is the one running like this, throwing the dog into the fence. And then sometimes it's whatever the child is doing over here that causes the dog to be afraid. The dog launches off the play cut and now attacks the child. Maybe the child has something. Maybe the child has a great snack. And now he's much closer. The dog comes off to get the snack. The child reaches for the snack, and next thing you know, they're in competitive aggression. The dog immediately repels the child. Move away from the valuable resource. I'm going to take it. And this happens to adults, but most adults, many can withstand the attack of a single dog to a degree. A lot of them are killed by them, but nevertheless, our bodies are capable of withstanding an assault much more than a small child. Hence why so many fatalities are to children. If that same attack had happened to a full-grown man or a woman, may have gone to the emergency room, but they wouldn't have gone to their grave. Keep that in mind. Okay, so guys, this whole Pups and Pregnancy series is all about just maybe pointing you in a direction that you would have never thought of. To make you pause for reflection. Make you consider what you would never, ever consider. Make you look and walk around thinking, you know, my dog could bite my child. Or that dog, meaning that dog out on the streets. So many parents want their dog, they want their child to interact with the dog. Oh, you see the doggy? You see the doggy? Can my child pet your doggy? What do you think most people are going to say? Did you know that saying no has proven to be painful? Physically painful. So most people, I've even seen people who knew their dog would bite someone. They still allowed a child to bite it because they were thinking, my dog would bite you, Bryan, but it wouldn't bite that little child. Yeah, and also the dog bites the child. It does. We have got to put ourselves in the brain of a dog. Children are not children to dogs. There's a brief period in which children crawl, in which there seems to be a pendulum sliding back a little bit and unveiling in female dogs maternal protectiveness. But that goes away like that as soon as that child is upright. Because those instincts that I still have from my wolf ancestry is that of a mother who makes her 2-year-old daughter lead the pack. Especially the biggest one, the one that's most determined, the one that is a producer. It's time for you to leave. And even if you set up your territory next to the natal pack, if I see you again, I will kill you. That can be watered down to a degree, but it's not gone. And it's there. So all this is just really to not rain on your parade, because having a child is a wonderful thing. I can certainly tell you that. And having a dog with a child is a wonderful thing. And I can tell you that too. But I can also tell you, is dangerous and can be. And you just have to accept that and go into it like an assumption or risk. And to know everything, even to know that even if there's just one chance in a million, you don't want it to be you. You don't want it to be you. So I hope you go back and watch these series. I hope you share them with people who have young children, who have currently just had a baby maybe about to bring a baby home. Share it with them. There's no doubt in my mind from all these years, because all the information I'm passing on to you, most of it was gleaned from simple one-on-one or me one-on-two parents interviews for the last 4 decades, over 40 years, one after another. What could we have done different? I learned so much from talking to them. Their transparency, their courage to come forward. Because most people worry, I'm unfit. I'm unfit to be a parent. So they come forward with the courage, all because they wanted to make sure it never happened again to them, nor anyone else, any other mother, any other father. And so this information came from them, and I thank them. And now I'm passing it on to you. Take it, store it away. These videos will be available forever. Go back and watch them again before you bring your child into your household. And hopefully everything will be great. Smile, laugh, all sorts of pictures lining the wall, or these new electronic things I think are way cool, where your picture just goes through digitally, one after another. I forget what they're called, but they're really cool. They work better than this thing. This thing I'm probably going to throw away as soon as we get done with this Facebook Live. Just kidding. But, me and technology is horrible. Okay, guys, so that's it for today. This is the end of my Pups and Pregnancy mini-series. Tomorrow we're going to launch into a few things. I'm probably going to go over a study that just came out back in December. I want to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to move on and answer some questions in the next 2 big mini-series, because today is 340 of the 365. So guys, 25 more videos to go. In that, I want to squeeze in canine nutrition, because you have so many choices out there today. Who the heck can go to a big pet store and really make a good choice? It's so much information overload. I'm going to try and break some of the fundamentals down. I'm not going to go dog food by dog food. Basic fundamentals in accordance with canine physiology. And then we're going to talk about canine pharmacotherapy. Yes, some dogs need chemical help with their condition. Guys, then we're going to get ready to wrap this thing up. So if you have any questions, now's the time to send them in. Send them in now, and I'll be glad to answer them as best I can in the time I've got allotted, and we'll go over it. If you've got any suggestions or recommendations, certainly send them my way. Bryan with a Y at tamingthewild.com, or you can just drop it down on the thread, and my team will read these threads every day. They read every comment every single day. And we'll get to it. I promise you. It's the best we can. All right, guys, be safe. You have a child, be safe. Be thinking pups and pregnancy and wonderful life to your child, but also be safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow.